Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Fantasy Birds. Today, we are hopping into some early sleepers in 2022 fantasy football. Let's run the clip. First guy I want to talk about is Saquan Barkley for the New York Giants. Look, at this point in Saquon's career, it's incredible how people are fading him. It's all due to his injury history. Let's pump the brakes on that history. Let's look at his career starting out 4 years back, coming out of Penn State, the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Didn't miss a single game in his rookie season. Next year has a couple injuries, only misses 3 games that following season. Then the big injury, he tears his ACL, misses basically the entire season. And then this past year, only misses 4 games with that high ankle sprain. People want to act like Saquon Barkley is missing huge chunks of every single season. While yes, he is missing parts, bits and pieces of each season, it's nothing compared to what people are making out to be. Saquon Barkley is still easily a top 2 talented running back in the NFL, just from a pure size, speed, agility standpoint. So for you to get Saquon Barkley in the 3rd round on this New York Giants team that is added to their offensive line, Andrew Tom's great piece, drafted Evan Neal in the 1st round, looking like a very solid offensive tackle for that unit. Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, you add Wan'Dale Robertson in this draft. This offense is looking very explosive. Ronald Jones just got to play game manager for this team. And if Saquon Barkley can stay healthy and play 14 games this year, he's going to be a top 10 running back and blow his average draft position out of the water. Currently a 3rd round pick in some drafts. Saquon Barkley, I'm taking him everywhere I can get him. If I go wide receiver, tight end, the first 2 rounds, I love Saquon Barkley as my RB1. Not missing as many games as people really want to believe, only 3 or 4 a year outside of that one ACL season. Saquon Barkley, one of my favorite sleepers coming in to 2022 fantasy football. Next guy on our list is going to be A.J. Dillon for the Green Bay Packers. We talked about him on our breakout podcast last week, but I want to put him in the sleepers tier as well, just because he's going as RB 25 average draft positions according to the rankings. Last year finishes running back 23. So he's already finishing above that from the previous season. And now you add in the fact he's got another year under his belt. No more Devontae Adams. It's going to be a more run-heavy offense. I don't understand how A.J. Dillon can't demolish RB 25 ADP here. He's going at around 60th overall. Aaron Jones around 25th overall. So you're getting a pretty sizable discount on A.J. Dillon when last year he actually outcarried Aaron Jones by 20 carries, and they played basically the same amount of games. Aaron Jones missed 2 games late in the season. But A.J. Dillon getting more work on the ground than Aaron Jones, and you're getting him 3-4 rounds later. I don't understand it. A.J. Dillon, also the goal line back in Green Bay. The numbers don't lie. Getting 10 carries inside the 5-yard line compared to Aaron Jones, only 6. So Green Bay's shown they like the younger, the more power back in A.J. Dillon around the end zone. And without Devontae Adams eating up those targets in the end zone, those little outcuts with Aaron Rodgers, 1-yard touchdown passes, A.J. Dillon could see a behemoth workload inside the 5 this season at the goal line. I love A.J. Dillon, especially if I can get him at running back 25. No chance he finishes outside running back 20 if he stays healthy this year. A.J. Dillon, another one of my favorite running back sleepers in this year. First wide receiver off the board, going to be Christian Kirk for the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming over from the Arizona Cardinals. Gets that huge contract, $84 million, up to $84 million from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, he's going to have some incentives to earn it, but you don't give a guy $84 million if you don't plan on using him and being a staple in the offense. Christian Kirk looks to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. No more DJ Chark. Trying to trade Laviska Shenault. We really thought he was going to break out last year. Did not end up happening. And last year, let's look at this Jacksonville wideout crew. Marvin Jones, 32-year-old wide receiver, finishes as wide receiver 33 in fantasy. Christian Kirk, current ADP, wide receiver 46. So if you don't think Christian Kirk is better than a 32-year-old Marvin Jones and can't outperform wide receiver 33, which he was at last year, Marvin Jones, the number 1 wide receiver, Christian Kirk stepping into that number 1 role, he should be able to outperform his current draft position at wide receiver 46. Plus, let's look at this offense. You lose Urban Meyer. King Urban, more worried about going to the bars after games and really developing his stud quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. So you get a new coaching system, another year for Trevor Lawrence. This team should look a lot better on offense with Travis Etienne. Christian Kirk stands to profit from these gains from Trevor Lawrence and ETN. So I'll take the number one wide receiver for the Jaguars at wide receiver 46 in the drafts. No brainer for me, especially what we saw last year from this offense. Definitely room for improvement, to say the least. Christian Kirk, a guy I love snagging as a wide receiver 4 or 5 on my team. Our next pick is going to be another guy changing uniforms in the offseason, keeping the same colors coming from the Buccaneers to Kansas City. But Ronald Jones, just like he was last year, in a very profitable offense in the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. Last year, Leonard Fournette really took over the running back room in Tampa Bay. Coach Bruce Arians was not a fan of Ronald Jones' play, not able to catch the ball out of the backfield, so it really limited it on third downs and early passing downs, as defenses could gauge exactly what the Buccaneers were doing when Ronald Jones was in the backfield. Chiefs are a different story. Last season, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the number one running back for the Chiefs, only 2 goal line carries in the entire 2021 season. Yeah, he did miss a couple of weeks with an injury, but still, if you could only get 2 goal line carries an entire season with a explosive offense like Kansas City has, it means that the coaching staff does not trust you inside the goal line to pound it in. And Clyde has struggled with that in his NFL career, pushing through the goal line, not a really sturdy back, more elusive type receiving back. And Ronald Jones could step into that goal line work, especially without a Tyreek Hill being a red zone threat anymore for this Kansas City team. I really like Ronald Jones to step in to that goal line power back role, just like we talked about with A.J. Dillon. Very, very explosive offense. Get down to the goal line. No more Tyreek Hill. Hand off to Ronald Jones, who's built for this role. Not going to be in on passing down, so he doesn't have top 10, top 15 upside. But he's got top 20 running back upside. You're getting him extremely late in drafts. Currently sitting at running back 43 average draft position. I mean, if Ronald Jones takes over this goal line role for the Chiefs, that is clearly open, as Clyde is not getting the work down there. Ronald Jones could be a very profitable pick for a lot of teams. Doesn't have the upside like we talked about to crack the top 10, but definitely a surefire pick that late in draft that gives you that top 20 upside right around RB20 when you're getting him at RB43. No-brainer pick for me here, Ronald Jones, and a much, much better potential role for him than what he was seeing in Tampa Bay. Still a young running back, only 25 years old, coming out of USC. So definitely a lot of mileage left on his tank. Love Ronald Jones coming out as running back 43. Easy smash for us here. Last guy on our list is going to be Robert Tonyan for this Green Bay Packers team. Another guy on this Packers team, because there's so much to go around with the MVP Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Devontae Adams, 160 targets out of the offense. We don't expect Robert Tonyan to soak up a huge number of those targets as they add guys like Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson out of the draft. But Robert Tonyan saw a very high ceiling 2 years back before he tore his ACL with Aaron Rodgers. 11 touchdowns in 5 of the last 6 games for that team. We don't expect him to get back to that number, that level of efficiency where he was seeing a touchdown every 6 catches in this offense. But he's going as a tight end 22, coming off an ACL injury where he should be fully healthy and ready to go. For an Aaron Rodgers team that doesn't have any clear number one wide receiver, I'll take Robert Tonyan as a flyer tight end in the deepest of rounds in fantasy drafts. I mean, you're getting this guy for absolutely free in the last round, 160 overall ADP. I'll take Robert Tonyan as a late tight end flyer if you're not able to get a couple guys in the first 3 rounds of the draft, DeMarc Andrews, Kyle Pitts, or Travis Kelce. I'll take a late flyer on Tonyan coming off that ACL injury with so many targets available and no clear red zone threat in Green Bay anymore. Those are our top 5 early sleepers in fantasy football 2022. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of Fantasy Birds.